Hi. Today is the 23rd. It's Festivus for the rest of us. I think that's today. I just thought of that. I am going to continue with this doing nothing / meditation because trying to do nothing basically just kind of turns into meditation. This last time I tried it was really weird. Basically, I tried to do nothing, and obviously doing nothing is going to lead to you just sitting there thinking. And so then I was like, well, what if I try not to think? Wait, that's meditation. Okay, this is a meditation video. Oh well. That was like my train of thought. And so I wasn't sure what to do. The first part of the video, I basically just started telling you all my thoughts and expressing them because having a camera on me, I just felt that natural urge to do that. Later on in the video, when I tried to actually do nothing, not only not physically do anything, but not mentally do anything, to try to not think, it was far more difficult because I wanted to express those thoughts. And because the thoughts I was having were specifically ones that I actually did want to express. Not just that I wanted to express thoughts in general, but specific ideas that I was like, ooh, I want to say that. And I want to document that so I can remember it later. And I chose not to for the sake of the experiment, and then I couldn't remember the things later. And I was really annoyed by that because it was ideas that I wanted to write down so I could do them later. Ideas that I wanted to, or ways of phrasing things I wanted to say so that I could put them at the beginning and ending of that video. And so I'm going to try, I guess I'm going to try actually meditating. So actually doing nothing. Not doing anything physically, not doing anything mentally. And I'm going to try to do it for a minute a day, because who doesn't have a minute? And I feel like breaking it down to the extreme bare minimum is probably a good way to try to make it into somewhat of a daily habit, I guess, and see how it goes from there. And I think what I want to do is track how many times my mind wanders within that minute, and see if I improve at it and get distracted less, I guess. Wow, I've already been talking for almost 4 minutes, and I was only going to be sitting here for 1 minute. So let me get my timer. I just woke up basically. All right, here we go. 1 minute. That went so fast. That felt like 15 seconds. 3 times I counted that I got distracted. At least 3, if not more. There was lots of moments of very, very small distraction where it's am I distracted or not? Nah, I'm kind of focused on both things, I guess, even though I think there have been brain studies saying that the brain literally cannot be focused on more than one thing at a time, and that we're just really, really good nowadays at flipping back and forth between two things, really, really quickly. This thing, that thing, this thing, that thing, and we just go really, really fast. And I guess that's technically how multitasking works. I'm gonna look that up, and I suggest you look it up too, and don't take my word for it. But yeah, that's day 1. This is a long intro to this video. Alright. Oh, hello. It is The 24th. It's time for my 1 minute of meditation. Am I gonna film this every day? I didn't think about that until just now. Am I gonna film this every single day? Or am I just gonna do it every day? I don't know. I'll film it for today. I don't want to think right now. I want to no think. So here we go. Starting the timer. 3, 2, 1, go. That goes so fast. That goes so fast. Okay. It's hard. I guess I need to redefine getting distracted, because I have many, many moments. I think I'd say that time maybe like 6, where I had like a thought coming in, but I was like focused on the breath and that thought at the same time, or like not focused on, I don't know, aware of both at the same time. This would come in and I would just like remain focused on this, and then that would just fade out it without losing focus on this the whole time. This would come in, and then this would come in, and that would come in, and fade back out each time. So I think I should redefine how I'm tracking losing focus, and say each time that I lose focus is each time that I'm no longer focused on this. Literally losing the focus, where this comes in, oops, now I'm focused over here. And then, okay, now I'm back over here. So that would be 1. In that case, I've already forgotten. It was like 2 or 3 doing that. But like 6 or 7 of just like, here's something, nope, staying on this. Here's something, nope, staying on this. Yeah, and then like 2 or 3 where it was like, here's something, oh, I want to think about that. Wait, no, this. Where it tricked me. It got me for a second there. I think that's how I'm going to change it, to not count all these other little ones, just the ones where I noticed that there were a couple seconds where I wasn't thinking about the breath, I guess. Because that's when I'm actually engaging with the thought and continuing that thought process. Okay. Cool. See you tomorrow. Maybe I'll go 2 minutes or 2.5. 1's just so short. Although if I'm still getting distracted like 3 times in a minute, that's like once every 20 seconds. Maybe I should just keep up with a minute and see if I get better at it. But then maybe the opposite would be like, the more time I spend doing it, maybe the better I'll get at it. I think I'm gonna increase my time tomorrow, because this is way too short. Although, wait, hold on, I should also say too, the whole point of this was to like make it a long-term habit and try to like actually practice it and try to understand meditation, because I just don't get it. And so if I increase my time too much too quickly, then it becomes overwhelming. So that's something I need to definitely learn to be okay with, is if I have a day where I don't want to do 2.5 minutes or 5 minutes or whatever, to just drop it back down to the lower amount, and be like, yeah, that was just too much too soon, or something like that. Because obviously doing an hour a day would be way too much. I just wouldn't keep up with that, because I don't know, maybe I would. Like a week ago, a month ago, definitely not. But now that I'm doing this experiment of stripping my life down to bare basics, and like rebuilding it from the ashes, where it's like I've quit all my social media, I've like literally everything I do, well, not everything, but the vast majority of what I do, I'm documenting and putting on the channel. The only exceptions is like, I was a little tired this morning, I splurged on my time and spent a little bit watching some parkour videos before I managed to get out of bed this morning. So like, I'm not documenting that, but I definitely actually want to get back into that, like doing that and training it, and not just watching other people doing that. So like that will end up on this channel. No, whatever. Okay, I'm rambling. This is supposed to be 1 minute, and I've recorded like 5 minutes of footage. Alright, here we go. It's Christmas. Oh, hold on. Did I use the tripod yesterday? I don't remember. I'll call this good enough. No tripod, I'm not gonna fiddle with that. Just set the camera on the desk. Today's Christmas. Merry Christmas, I guess, if you celebrate that. So being today is Christmas and my workplace is closed and I have the day off of work. This is my first day off work since I started the channel. I thought maybe I'd treat myself and take like not just a minute or half an hour, but like an entire hour and do nothing for a whole hour. The problem with this, though, is that my family decided to have their Christmas gathering last night. By the time you're seeing this, I should have already made a video discussing the aspects of that I'm comfortable talking about publicly at this point, because I just don't want to upset anyone by complaining. So yeah, I was up about 2 hours later than usual, and then this morning I slept in about 4 hours. Well, actually, I woke up and then I laid back down and I was like, I don't want to get up right now. I'll just watch some videos on my phone for a little bit. And then I realized an hour went by. I watched YouTube videos for an entire hour and it just went by like nothing. I could have sat here and done nothing for an entire hour and that would have been, I guess, equally as productive, but far more relaxing, I guess. And then I was like, that was a waste of time. I'm gonna set my phone down and then just lay here until I get up the willpower to get up. And then I glanced over at my phone and another hour had gone by. I was like, oh my god, this is such a waste of time. I just laid there and did nothing. Well, didn't do nothing because like my mind was wandering and I was allowing myself to think. So I wasn't doing nothing in the sense of this experiment. I wanted to get up early anyway, because then the next day, tomorrow the 26th, I'm going to have to get up at like 2 a.m. because I have to work at 3 a.m. so I can clearance all the toys before the hordes of people come by the post-Christmas sales or post-Christmas clearance. So I wanted to get up early today anyway, even if I was going to be tired. But then I was like, I just don't want to just move around and exist right now. I just didn't have the willpower to sit here for a minute. like I've said, when I'm sitting here doing nothing, that's what the depression wants me to do. Oh, the battery's dying. Okay, my battery was dying too. That's why I couldn't get up this morning. So yeah, I watched YouTube videos for a whole hour. I uninstalled YouTube from my phone because I've already quit all other social media. I kept YouTube on my phone because it's a little bit different, whereas like other social media, you're scrolling and like you just see whatever the app wants you to see as you're scrolling. Versus YouTube, yes, you're scrolling through, but you are also getting to choose which videos you want to watch. So it's a little bit different. And they've shown that it doesn't have nearly the mental health impacts that normal social media has. But anyway, so I was like, you know what? Nope. I'm taking YouTube off my phone too. I can watch it on my computer if I absolutely want to. Did I just as I was saying that, I just cut myself with my own fingernail. They're not even that sharp. My hands are just like really roughed up from like being dry from all the extra washing you do these days and then putting lotion on them and then they get really, really soft and now I just cut my finger. Okay, my lotion is too effective. Makes my hands too soft too quickly. Yeah, and then I was like upset with myself that I didn't get out of bed, and so then I fell back asleep for another 2 hours. And so I was in, well actually like 2.5 hours, and so I was in bed for 4.5 hours more than, or later, 2.5 hours more than usual, and 4.5 hours later than my usual wake-up time. And so I had started off thinking, oh, maybe I'll treat myself and sit here for an entire hour. But now I don't have time for that. And then I started thinking of like, oh, maybe I'll forgive myself and not even do 1 minute. Like, but that was the whole point of like breaking this down to 1 minute, is so that I can make it a daily habit, even on the days where I don't have time, because no one doesn't have a minute. There's like, even on your most hectic, crazy days, everyone has at least 1 minute to spare. Granted, this is taking several more minutes than 1 minute because I'm explaining things to you. So I've thought about that too, is at some point I'm probably gonna stop filming myself every day while I'm meditating and just do it. And I also really, that perfect segue right into the next thing, is I want to stop calling it meditating, even though that's what it is. I was thinking about this yesterday after my 1 minute. This is my third day of doing, my third day of doing this for 1 minute. And I was thinking about how the perspective on it affects it. So all I'm doing here, the idea, was to do nothing. I sit here and I don't do anything, and obviously what's going to happen doing that is you're just going to think. And so it's like, well, I want to not think either. I want to do actually nothing. And so then I'll just like avert my focus to the breath and to like the physical sensation of what it feels like to exist, and like the pressure of myself against the floor and the wall, and the air on my skin, and the temperature, and just like focus on that so that my mind doesn't wander and think, and like actually just do nothing, just be. And that's meditation, basically. That's all it is. But when I call it meditation, even to myself, not just for anyone watching this, but even to myself, there's all this, not stigma, I guess like preconceived notions about it and stereotypes surrounding that word. Calling it meditation versus calling it doing nothing, I'm doing the exact same thing. What I call it kind of reframes my thinking around it and makes it, so like when I call it meditation, it's like becomes a something that I have to struggle and practice at and work at, versus when I call it doing nothing, that's just what I want to be doing anyway. Like I said in my first video about this, is when you're depressed, at the absolute rock bottom of depression, you don't want to do anything. And so the entire point of this was to intentionally choose to not do anything. And so by calling it doing nothing, it becomes easier to do, because when I call it meditation, it's like, oh, this is a thing I'm doing. The way I label what I'm doing affects what I'm doing in a way that I don't fully understand yet. To call it doing nothing makes it easier to do, which is really, really weird. Or at least like lessens my resistance to it, I guess. So anyways, I wanted to put that explanation in there, that thought process that I've been having. And now I guess I can begin my 1 minute after, what's that, like 10 minutes of ranting? Alright, let me get a timer. I hope I said everything I wanted to say. And we're starting now. Oh, that went so much better. Yesterday combined with today, I definitely notice, as I was saying yesterday, sometimes like a thought will be coming in and then it'll kind of fade out, and I'll like still be focused on the breath, but then like kind of focus on two things at the same time. I've noticed that that only happens in the pauses between breaths. While I'm breathing in or breathing out, as that's happening. Breathing in, I'm focused on the breath just fine. And then a thought fades in, and then I start breathing out, and that like just naturally kind of goes away. And okay, now I'm breathing out, and then I pause for that split second, and something starts coming in, and then I start breathing out, and then this just kind of fades out as I return my focus to this. That's fascinating. As far as like how many times I was distracted within that minute, I would say like I was half distracted probably a dozen times. Fully distracted, 0. Maybe I was halfway fully distracted once. I don't know. This is difficult. How do I count this? And how do I remain focused on not thinking and just focus on this when I'm trying to count this? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Alright, that's it for today. Alright. The 26th, day after Christmas. It's like 2 a.m. I have to go clearance all the toys and Christmas stuff at work before the store opens, so people can go have their Christmas chaos. So I work at 3 a.m. That gives me just enough time, at the very least, to do this minute of meditation, this minute of doing nothing, and then maybe I think I could squeeze in a little bit of So let's do this. Go. It goes so fast. I would say I got distracted like maybe once or twice, kinda. Immediately on my very first out breath, at that first pause, I thought of something. What did I think of? I thought of something immediately. I was like, oh man, I should have said that. But then I was like, nope, I'm gonna do this. I'm not gonna stop and say every thought I have. I'm gonna do nothing. I've already forgotten. I guess that's the power of like ignoring thoughts as they go away quickly, or at least they do for me, because like I said, I'm kind of practiced in this, I guess. So tomorrow I'm going to increase the time limit to 2.5 minutes. And I'm going to change my mind on one thing and say that if I discover a want, something I want to say, something I want to do, then I will allow myself to say that thing immediately and or stop doing nothing in order to do that thing. And so that's very much not meditating. That is me doing this in my own way of doing nothing, starting the day with doing nothing because I don't want to do anything. And then I discover a want and I was like, oh, okay, I'm not going to stop myself. I'm going to do that thing. Well, we'll see how that goes. Alright, yesterday was a very, very long day, and today is now the 27th, and I'm gonna go for 2.5 times as long as I have been. I'm gonna go for 2.5 minutes, and if I think of something I want to say, that I actually really want to say, then I will allow myself to interrupt myself and say it. And if I think of something I want to do, then I will, I don't know, then I guess I will get up and do that thing, or at least write it down and then come back to this, because as we've discovered, I have a problem with being able to remember by time I'm finished meditating. And that's not just something I discovered recently in these last few sessions for this video. This is something I've known. So here we go. Start my timer for 2.5 minutes. Go. It's already daunting, even though I've done much longer durations. Oh, that felt like forever. I think just because I was very self-aware the whole time in a different way. I think I'm gonna stop filming myself every time. I had said at the beginning that it was immediately daunting, and that I definitely think contributed to it feeling long, because the entire time I was not very relaxed, I was not very focused, and I kept focusing on why isn't it over yet, relative to how quickly it was over before. Even though it wasn't that long, it was only 2.5 minutes. It felt long because I kept focusing on the fact that it was still going. I also decided I'm gonna stop counting how many times I got distracted, because that time I don't think there was a moment that I was focused. That did not go well. And also, like, this is just going to add up to way too much footage if I do this every day. Too much footage that I'm not going to use specifically. I'll use the little, like, thoughts at the beginning and the end, but during, why am I filming myself? It's the same thing every day. I'm getting just minute after minute of the same thing, and I'm not going to use that footage. And I did also think of something that reinforces my next video idea. Or I don't know if it was going to be next, but it's definitely one that I was gonna do, and now it's like I have another thing that I can say in that video, another reason to do that video. So that was good. Cool. Oh my god. 7.5. That means I've talked for 5 minutes today. I spent 5 minutes talking today. This is gonna be a long video. I don't know how much longer I'm gonna keep doing this before I'm like, okay, I have enough footage, let's mash this all together. Today is the 28th, and I've slept in a couple hours today. Actually, about 2.5, 3 hours. I guess I'm alright with that, to do that once in a while. If I don't want to do anything, then I don't have to. It felt good to sleep in. Granted, now the other things I want to do, I have much less time, so there's a trade-off. I think I'll be able to pull it off in the amount of time that I still have left. So I'm going to meditate for today, and as of today I'm going to stop filming myself meditating every day and just film my thoughts. No, I'm not doing good meditate. I'm gonna do nothing. It's the same thing. But meditating is doing something. Whatever. Here we go. Well, 30 seconds in, and I already thought of something that I want to say. The way that I'm doing this is to do nothing until I think of something I want to do. But what I'm doing is rejecting every thought. Well, I guess I didn't reject this thought. And it's not really rejecting, it's just kind of being like, yep, I see you, and then returning to my focus to something else. But I was thinking, like, when I'm thinking, that's when I think of something that I want to do. When I'm not thinking, I was thinking that I was thinking that when I'm not thinking, I wouldn't think of something that I wanted to do because I'm not thinking. But actually, no, I've already proven that wrong. Never mind, that's nonsense. I already disproven that many times, because like in my first video about this, in most of my recordings for this video, even like what I just did right there, I was sitting there not thinking, and then I thought of something. You know what I mean? So I guess I'll do the rest of the 2.5 minutes today. I've got 1 minute and 58 seconds left. I'll do the rest of it. That was about 30 more seconds, and I just thought of another thing I could say is also weird when I already have an idea of something I want to do prior to me doing this nothing. So in that case, like, should I skip this entirely and just go straight to the thing that I thought of, or should I do this anyway? Because it's kind of like a good way to start the day, I guess. I don't know. I'm just gonna finish up for today, and these are more rhetorical questions, I guess. I don't really have answers, and I haven't taken the time to try to figure out answers. Will I take the time? I don't know. Okay, this is getting ridiculous. That was another 30 seconds. I still have 1 minute left. And I just thought of also, I was already kind of procrastinating on doing this, because when I got out of bed, you know, I got dressed and whatever. And then I just stared out the window, because we got our first snowfall last night. Like, legit snowfall. We had, like, sprinkles before, but now we got, like, our first legitimate accumulation of the year. And so I was like, I just kind of wandered over to the window. I'm just staring out the window at the snow and the cars going by for I don't know how long I was watching. It's like, I kind of already just did nothing for a little while there. Okay, I'm gonna finish my minute. So I immediately thought of something, and I tried to wait until the end, and I only managed to wait another 30 seconds. Is this what my attention span is? Or is this like my ability to focus is limited to 30 seconds? I don't know. The thought I had immediately was this whole like interrupting and pausing the timer and then like expressing whatever thought. This is like, it's defeating the point, I guess, or like just completely making it so that I'm not doing nothing. And I feel like this is just dumb. Either I'm gonna sit here and do nothing, or I'm not. And this whole like interrupting to talk thing is like this middle ground that makes it so I'm not doing nothing. But I still just don't understand the point of meditation at all. I just don't get it, to the point where I don't want to continue this. So maybe I'll just stop. I'll finish out this last 30 seconds for today. Hopefully I'll be able to finish it without having another idea of something to say that'll interrupt it. Okay, that was atrocious. I finished that last 30 seconds, but today was a disaster. I kept interrupting. I kept talking. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not doing anything, except I was. Whatever. This is stupid. Today's the 29th, and I think I figured out last night why yesterday was so much more difficult than usual. So the entire point of doing nothing is because I didn't want to do anything. But as I even said yesterday, I did want to do something. I already had an idea of something I wanted to do. And so I didn't realize at the time, but I think I realize now, or I think what made it so difficult was that change in perspective. Because if you don't want to do anything and then you don't do anything, then that's like obviously very natural and easy. But if you do want to do something and then you don't want to do anything, of course you're going to be frustrated. And so I think that's all it was, is I need to come at it from a different perspective. Then it's like, do I just not do nothing when I want to do something and just skip this morning routine and just go right to doing whatever it is I want to do, which is what I've kind of done most of my life anyway? Or do I then try something new to try to switch back to try to start my day from that perspective of not wanting to do anything and do nothing for a little while, and then slowly build up my day from there, and to take the time to just relax and do nothing, especially because it comes so naturally. Like I even said yesterday, before I sat down to do this, or to do nothing for the video, I was kind of automatically doing nothing by just staring out the window and just looking at the snow and watching the cars go by and just being like, not really being like anything, just kind of being, you know, this is weird. So I think I'm going to obviously try the new thing rather than the thing that I've already done. That being said, I'm gonna stop recording and also stop interrupting and just do the entire 2.5 minutes and just see how that goes. I am glad though that I'm kind of keeping track of the small nitty-gritty thoughts on a day-to-day basis, because this is the sort of stuff that you lose out on in a more all-encompassing look back. Like if I were to just do this every day and then make a video looking back on it, I would have forgotten all of these small complaints. So I just finished my 2.5 minutes, and I still struggle to see the value in not thinking. To me, I just need to spend more time thinking to process through things. And I had also thought of, during that, how the Buddhists would say that all suffering comes from desires. I feel like more so the suffering comes from unfulfilled desires. If I think of something I want to do, and then I do it, I'm happy about that. It's only if I think of something that I don't do it, or I can't do it, or I fail to figure out how to do it for whatever reason, that you have some sort of suffering. That's like a necessary part of life. If you don't have some sort of upset, then you have no reason to fight back against that and fight through and figure things out, and that's just part of the ups and downs of life. That's not suffering. That's just life. You know how they say there's a difference between sadness and depression. Being upset that you couldn't fulfill a want, that's not depression, that's just sadness. Because all of life involves duality. If you don't experience negative feelings, then you wouldn't know what positive feelings are. If we didn't have light, we wouldn't know what darkness was, because it would just be what always is. We wouldn't have an opposite to even know that it is opposite to something. So the idea of getting rid of your wants to get rid of suffering is completely nonsensical. But at this point, I'm getting way ahead of myself. I don't really know that much about Buddhism. I was trying to avoid going towards any of the meditation and preconceived notions and all that kind of stuff, and just try to focus on doing nothing in its own right. I don't know. So today is the 30th of December, 2020. It's only one day left of the year. That's crazy. So today is the first day in, I guess maybe about a week that I just actually don't want to do anything. Starting this channel definitely gave me a big boost of motivation to be like, I'm gonna make a video. Every morning, that was like what I was feeling. It's like, yeah, let's make a video. Today, I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. And I think this is kind of exaggerated by the fact that I already had a video ready for today, so technically I can get away with not making a video today because there's already one ready, but I would like to stay a day ahead if I can, so if I could make one today and have it ready for tomorrow type of thing. But the fact that I could get away with not making one today makes me, kind of allows me to dive even deeper into just, I don't want to do anything. One thing that's been fascinating is quitting all my social media, quitting pretty much everything. I'll still watch YouTube. I'll spend too much time on YouTube. It's amazing to see what other things I just kind of naturally find to distract myself with. I ended up scrolling through my Google Photos app and just looking at old photos and old TikToks that I had downloaded because I quit TikTok. And so here I am watching the same TikToks I've already seen because I downloaded them. So it's 2 hours. 2 hours I just laid in bed and didn't get up. And I didn't even get up to do nothing. I just laid there and thought about stuff and scrolled through my Photos app. I finally got my butt out of bed. And I got plenty of sleep. I don't know why I'm so tired. And I'm just sore from my workouts, which I am posting in a different video. So I don't know why I'm so tired, but I'm gonna sit here for 5 minutes today, and I'm gonna not interrupt, hopefully. And I'm just gonna do nothing because I actually just don't want to do anything today, so here we go. So that was different. As soon as I finally started getting into it, then the timer went off. It was really difficult because there's so many things to think about, so many things I could think about. Honestly, very, very few that I actually wanted to think about. One example would be I thought about that 2.5 minutes may feel like a long time while I'm doing it, but at the end of the day, it's wait a minute, did I even meditate today? Oh yeah, I guess I did. Oh, it's 2.5 minutes is such a short amount of time in the scale of a day that I forget, wait, did I even meditate today? And I was yeah, and then I can go back and check my logs and be oh, yeah, okay, I did. So I think I'm going to try to do 5 minutes every day, even though prior to doing it, it seems daunting and I don't want to do it. But then at the end of the day, it's oh, that 5 minutes is nothing. And that being said, I did also think of things that I wanted to do. I was reminded during my 5 minutes today of oh yeah, I was wanting to do that thing, and I could go do that thing, and oh, that would be really cool, but I can't do it yet, so I just got to stay excited for that. There definitely is a factor of that once I get going, it's easier to keep going. Once I get out of bed, it's easier to do things, and it's just that initial resistance to starting. Also, eventually when I get my new apartment, I can rearrange my physical space so that it'll be far less tempting for me to just get back into bed after turning off my alarm, because right now, although I've kind of always been the type of person that it's I can fall asleep anytime, anywhere. I can get up and turn off my alarm and do jumping jacks and take a cold shower and then just lay back down and go back to sleep. There's nothing, absolutely nothing, but barring absurd amounts of coffee that can keep me from falling asleep. I really like sleeping. It's, as far as the conscious mind is concerned, it's the only time that I feel like I'm doing nothing. So you'd think that there would be very little resistance to me getting out of bed and then sitting here doing nothing, instead of laying in bed doing nothing even though I'm actually still thinking through things, or scrolling on my phone and just inputting more things into my brain to think about and just overwhelming myself more. Anyways, that's enough for today. Today is the 31st, last day of the year. Alright, let's get this over with. I wanted to mention I've definitely noticed a correlation between my content consuming habits and my motivation or will to create content. Every morning that I wake up that I don't want to do anything is always the morning after an unexpected YouTube binge. And I do enjoy watching YouTube. I get value out of the content that I watch there, or at least most of it, some of it. So I think at the very least I really need to crimp down on what types of content I'm watching and be more intentional about what I'm watching and not just kind of mindlessly watching compilation videos. For example, last night I could have sat down and watched a few videos, but that probably would have turned into an hour or longer, and so I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to bed. And now this morning I woke up with 8 new video ideas. 8! That's the most I've ever came up with all at once before. Or at least since I've started this channel. Most of these I can actually film today, or at least get started on today. So that's super exciting. But nevertheless, I'm going to try to sit here for 5 minutes anyway. So I already wrote down all these ideas I came up with. As soon as I woke up, it was oh yeah, I remember this whole thought process that I had in a dream. And it wasn't that far from reality. It's I can actually do all these things. This is great. So I wrote all those down. And whilst I think you're technically not supposed to, I think if I get a good idea while I'm meditating, I think it's worth interrupting it to quick jot something down and then come back. So I'm going to start trying that, because both of the other options that I've been trying before, interrupting to say it to you and just ignoring the thought, both of those don't work, as I've already discovered for myself. Anyways, let's start the timer and stop the recording. So today was difficult, but not nearly as difficult as the previous days that I did 5 minutes. I found myself kind of imagining myself acting as the parent or the adult of the situation, and then all these random little thoughts are little children trying to say something, and I'm just kind of going, shh, not now, later, it's okay. Save that thought, it's a good thought, that type of thing. Go back to my keyboard. Not right now, I'm working right now, but later. I do want to hear it, just not now. It's just not the time. That is, until I got an enticing enough thought where it's oh, but I really do want to say that. And so I had one of those 30 seconds in, so I stopped the timer, quick typed that out and sent that message out, and then restarted the timer and tried getting back into it, and then I kept shuffling around or whatever, and so I was then just start over the timer. So I did, and I made it to 4.5 minutes before a second one of those came in where it's ooh, I really want to say that, and I really don't want to forget it. And so I opened my eyes, there was 30 seconds left, and so I was well, I can do this for 30 more seconds. I went back to 30 seconds, and now I came up to say this to you. And the second thing that I had thought of that I wanted to say in this video is something that I forgot to say before I started, which is that also my craving for stimulation, and I know that can sound a bit wrong. I'm talking about wanting to watch an exciting video, whether that be parkour or motorcycle close call almost crash compilations, or maybe it's an epic wins calisthenics video or whatever, just to watch something exciting. I find that my craving for mental stimulation kind of coincides with not wanting to do anything, and of course coincides with the night before of spending time just being mentally stimulated, watching something really cool, and just sitting here, wow, that's so cool. And just overloading my brain with all these fast-moving images and like taking in all kinds of different information, and there's videos about this thing and videos about that thing and videos about that, and then this video is about all these things, and it's just like it gets overwhelming. While I have quit all my other social media, I'd say 99% of what I do with my time in my life is now documented into this channel, including my thoughts on all of these things. I'd say that's one of the few things where it's like I haven't quit YouTube. I'm still watching YouTube to kind of unwind during my free time, but honestly, if I really think about it, it's more like it's actually winding me up more, which is weird. I think I watch videos in my free time because I enjoy it, but I don't think it's relaxing now that I actually analyze how it actually affects me. So that's interesting. Alright, that's enough for today. Happy New Year. Alright. Good morning. Hello. Happy New Year. It is 2021. Hopefully not 2022, the sequel to 2020. I've made that joke so many times already in so many different videos, it's just not even funny anymore. And then I'm going to probably make that same joke next year when it's actually 2022, not 2022. Anyways, I've been awake for a little while. I slept in today. I had a bunch of chores I had to do. I skipped my workout and my stretching and went straight to editing a video. I do have time to meditate though, but it's not first thing in the morning. I had all this other stuff that I had to do first, so it's like I have to make sure that this gets done, and then if I have time to do any of my normal routine stuff, then I'll do that. And actually, while I was waiting for today's video to render and upload, I was watching a little I guess mini documentary. Basically it's just a series of interviews on meditation, and one of the guys that they were interviewing actually had a really great way of explaining his perspective on meditation that I really like, and I'm going to try to bring with me going forward, because it actually relates to one of my New Year's resolutions. One of my New Year's resolutions was to just be more intentional about everything that I do, to not mindlessly waste time watching YouTube videos or scrolling social media or basically anything I'm doing. I want to be intentional about it and like actually do that thing and not just kind of go through the motions of life, but to really engage with life and really be a part of it. And so this guy's explanation of meditation is that there's nothing wrong with thinking as long as it's intentional. You're choosing what to think about and actually processing things instead of just letting your mind wander. And so the real problem with most thinking is that it's not intentional. It's just our minds wandering and thinking random thoughts that we aren't really engaging with. The mind is just kind of doing its own thing instead of us using the mind as a tool. And so meditation is intentionally taking a break from that unintentional thinking so that you can be more calm to do intentional thinking and think more clearly. That just completely changes my entire perspective on this and makes me much more willing to put up with 5 minutes a day, and maybe in a couple weeks I'll try 10 minutes a day. But I don't know, that's beyond the foreseeable future. Where did my phone go? There it is. I was reaching for my phone where it wasn't. I actually didn't even finish watching that video because I don't have time to, so I'm going to start my 5-minute timer and shut off the camera, and then I'll report back if there's something to report. So that was much better than the last few times, but still very distracted. That being said, it did go better. I was able to mostly remain focused. The only two thoughts that actually really got me and like convinced me to open my eyes was, did I even start the timer? Because I didn't want to be sitting here for 10 minutes and then end up late for work. So yeah, no, I'm gonna open my eyes and check, and of course I did start the timer, so then I just went right back to it. And my back is sore. Not the ligaments or the bones or whatever, but like the two main muscles that go down alongside your spine. Those are just exhausted from sitting up straight, crisscross applesauce, back up against the wall. I generally have had pretty bad slouching posture for most of my life. So my workouts and my stretching and this sitting here, I'm using my back muscles a lot more than I'm used to. So hopefully those will kind of catch up soon. Alright, it is January 3rd? Question mark? Yes. I'll be honest, it's been a rough start to the year. I've had to skip my workout and my stretching and most things for the first 2 days of the year, because January 1st I slept in. January 2nd I had to get up really early in the morning for an early shift at work, and then I fell asleep early and got nothing done after work. But today is a short day, and I'm going to try to get back to my normal schedule that I've been creating. So here we go, 5 minutes. I'm going to interrupt today's at the halfway point, 2.5 minutes in. Even with this new perspective I gained the other day, I'm still really struggling with the idea of ignoring thoughts that I do want to engage with, because the entire point of this new perspective was to intentionally choose which thoughts to engage with, to avoid the mindless wandering and thinking about everything. So again, not thinking of this in terms of meditation, putting all of the preconceived notions aside and trying to figure this out for myself, just starting with the idea of doing nothing. I don't see anything wrong with doing the things that I do want to do when I think of them instead of later, because I don't remember them later. And I was also thinking about how generally these meditation people will say that most of your thoughts are regrets thinking about the past, or worries thinking about the future. But if I kind of try to pay attention to what my thoughts actually are and try to categorize the thoughts I have, it's more so the mind just wants to do something in general, and it's just processing ideas that aren't really in the past or the future. It's just processing concepts that are time independent. So I don't know what to make of that. Anyways, I'm going to finish the rest of my time for today. So I just finished, and honestly, I think one of the only reasons I still continue to try this and struggle along with it is because there's supposedly a lot of neuroscience that shows that meditation is really good for the brain in various ways, and I don't really know what to do with that information. Like, is this going to make my life feel easier on the day-to-day basis? They say a lot of things about how it can affect your experience, but is it actually going to affect my day-to-day experience, or is it just kind of like a background thing, kind of like physical exercise? For the rest of the day you feel pretty much the same, maybe with a little bit more energy. That's more of like a long-term thing where you're going to feel better 50 years from now. Is that what this is? Is this like exercise for the brain where I'm not going to notice any effect until I'm like 70, and then I'll be like, well, I think I feel the same, and so I have nothing to compare to know whether or not it helped me or not. I don't know, man. I'm just really tired and exhausted because the last 2 days have been a hectic disaster. Oh boy. So today is January 4th. Whoops. I don't remember if I even meditated yesterday or the day before. I think I did on the 1st. This has been a really rough start to the year. I've been like just barely keeping up with my daily schedules. Actually, I skipped my workout yesterday and the day before, and I skipped stretching after the workout. Last night's video didn't even go up until like 11 o'clock at night, and I don't know what I'm going to upload today. I have kind of an idea that I guess it's going to be good enough, but it's like, life quickly becomes very overwhelming, and then I also need to just spend a lot more time just cleaning. Like, I need to vacuum, I need to clean out the car, I need to reorganize some stuff that got that I had to tear into to find things right before New Year's that I was going to use on New Year's. And then yesterday I thought I was having a short day, and then they gave me extra hours. It's like, of course I can't turn that down, but then I have to readjust all of my plans because I was banking on having that time available to make yesterday's video, which is why it had to go out so late because, Anyway, so amidst all this chaos and me wasting 2 hours this morning just watching YouTube videos, I really need to keep YouTube off my phone. I put it back on my phone while I was waiting for laundry because I was bored. So actually right now, as I'm recording this video, I'm going to take YouTube back off my phone again. Why is it being weird? Because that 2 hours could have gone towards cleaning and organizing. It could have gone towards making a better video for today. So amidst all the chaos and overwhelmingness of life, I'm going to enjoy these 5 minutes of peace. So I only made it 4 minutes, not 5, before I thought of something that I just can't ignore, because I don't want to forget it, because I actually tried ignoring it and I already started forgetting it, and so I had to pause for a minute and try to retrace my steps, so to speak, and I've only half recovered the idea to be able to say it, so hopefully I'll be able to remember it as I'm saying it. Sorry, I keep looking down at the mess that I need to vacuum up instead of at you. I find that it's much harder to just sit and not engage with thoughts, or at least not notice thoughts, after spending time just mindlessly cramming my brain with whatever nonsense my phone can queue up for me to watch and input into my brain. And it's like I'm just like input whenever I'm on my phone. And that input without output has nowhere to go, so it just bounces around in my head. And so 25 years of input, scrolling social media, watching YouTube videos, listening to music, watching movies, doing 3 things all at once, input all the time. It's like all these thoughts are just bouncing around my head in complete chaos at all times. And using these devices, my phone, my computer, whatever, to continue this process also kind of stirs up and agitates everything that's already settled to the bottom. Now it's like, okay, it's all back and it's flying around again. And it's hard to ignore it. Or maybe not ignore it, but it's hard to just be peaceful because it's all stirred up. Like sand at the bottom of the ocean. The water gets murky when all the sand gets stirred up. But then I also think about life is inherently chaotic and messy and overwhelming. And so it feels kind of pointless to try to let all the sand settle and just have completely clear water, because life is the chaos. Life is in all of the things that happen, all of the thoughts that you can have, the experiences that you can have, all the things that you can do, and the things that you can think and feel about those things that you can do. The murky water is life. When you let the sand settle and there are no thoughts, that's boring. When you strip your life down to nothing and you do nothing, that's boring. From my perspective, as of this moment, I would say life is about doing things. To me, doing nothing feels like something that you should do only when you are at your most overwhelmed, when you're too anxious to act the way you want, as a way of kind of bringing yourself back into check and being able to function again, and then you can live. Versus like the normal way of doing it, trying to keep everything clear and then only having one thought and okay, let's do that thought. It feels so futile because life is inherently chaotic and overwhelming, and it's like trying to smooth the waters of the ocean versus I'm saying it would be far more productive to just learn how to surf. So the 4 minutes was nice, but I just have too much to do to sit here doing nothing. Alright, today is the 6th. I slept in yesterday and then got called into work early, and the entire day was a complete wash. I didn't get to do anything after work. I thought about some video ideas and went to bed. That was it. Whole day was a waste. And I actually didn't even get to bed on time like I easily could have. And so today, even though I'm a little bit short on sleep, I'm like, I'm gonna wake up early. I'm gonna have my today is the start of the year. Yikes, here we go. 5 minutes on the clock. That was very difficult this time, but just when I was finally starting to get into it is when the timer went off. Mainly it was just like fidgety, just need to move and like itch my nose and like stretch my neck, and I'm trying to just like, nope, just focus on the breath and ignore those the same way I would ignore a thought. Those movements aren't really necessary. I also remembered something I wanted to say beforehand, and so I just quickly jotted it down on a little notepad here and then went right back to it, rather than interrupt and explain the whole thought process and then try to go back to it. I feel like that's actually much better because I don't really leave the meditative state, or at least the focused state. I just switch my focus from this to writing that thought and then back to this. And it actually flowed pretty seamlessly. So the thing I thought of, not yesterday, the day before, the 4th, I was saying how thoughts come in constantly no matter what you do. And so maybe it's pointless to try to have no thoughts. My understanding of meditation is that the idea is to just be peaceful and allow yourself to come to a state of no thoughts, so that becomes your new baseline, and you're able to more intentionally and fully engage with each thought that you do want to engage with. And in my hectic, frustrated, overstimulated state from just like having this constant mental input, I was thinking like, well, life is overwhelming itself. Why would I try to get rid of all of that? Maybe I should just learn how to surf the waves of my thoughts, so to speak. But I thought about that some more over the last 2 days, and I think I was looking at it all wrong, because that way of looking at it let's say we compare it to having a messy house. It's much nicer to just keep everything clean and clean up each mess as you go than to have a disaster with garbage everywhere and to just kind of clean up a little bit as necessary once in a while. Like, oh, I need to work today, so I'll clean off my desk. Oh, well, I need to sleep now, so I'll clean off my bed, but everything else is a disaster. No, it's much nicer to keep everything clean and just clean up each mess as you go. And I think the same kind of concept applies to pretty much everything in life. If we compare it to the virus situation, we do not want to surf the wave of the virus and just like try to carefully keep things just barely under control and just keep society just barely functioning. We would much rather suppress the whole thing, get it under control, and just not have it spreading around. That would be significantly superior. So I guess I'm gonna keep trying meditating every day, although I have noticed that during my workouts I can end up in a very similar mental state where I'm just focusing on the movement, the like minor details of the movement, of course focus on the breath. And so maybe at some point I will stop meditating alone by itself and just like meditate while I'm working out, but I don't know. Definitely not yet or any time within the foreseeable future, because it's a very different type of meditation and it's much more difficult to do nothing mentally and physically. It's actually pretty easy and actually very natural and automatic for me to do nothing mentally while I'm doing something physically because I'm just focused on what I'm doing physically. Also, I'd like to start listening to like podcasts or audiobooks or music and stuff like that while I'm working out, and you can't really meditate while you're doing that. So yeah, that's today's reflections. This is gonna be a long video. I was just setting up my camera for a different video, but then I thought of another great example is I would much rather have all of my bills paid off and pay them off one at a time as they come than to surf the wave of debt. I also had forgotten to mention too that kind of the entire point of this experiment in resetting my life and starting over was to make that exact change that I was just describing, to stop trying to surf the wave of chaos in my mind and chaos in my life, and to try to come down to a base level and not be like, okay, let's start off with nothing. Let's start by doing nothing, and now I'll slowly add things back into my life one at a time. To actually engage with every aspect of my life fully and intentionally, rather than just passively existing and allowing life to happen. And honestly, my biggest problem I think now, the only thing that I did not quit at this reset point was watching YouTube. I still keep on clicking on recommended videos and just mindlessly watching YouTube for hours at a time instead of searching out what I want to see. Instead of choosing my experience, I'm allowing the algorithm to choose it for me. Sort of. Like I am still choosing to allow it to choose for me. Sometimes it recommends something amazing and it's worth it to let the algorithm know what I want to know. But sometimes it's like, yeah, I like watching these, but I'd rather do something else right now. And I keep watching them out of habit, and I don't like that. So if that's you right now, then like I appreciate you watching, but I'd rather you not watch my videos and go do whatever it is you actually want to be doing. Alright, it's now the 7th. I keep sleeping in many hours, but granted I've not been going to bed at the time I should. And I wonder if my sleeping in is me just not wanting to do anything, and so then I should get up and not do anything. And so maybe I should increase the amount of time that I'm doing this each day. But I would really prefer at the moment to get my bedtime under control first, to get to bed on time and see how that affects it, and just kind of get used to doing 5 minutes at a time before I decide to increase it. I don't want to increase my daily requirement too soon. That being said, here we go. Wait, no. Also, on most of these days I'm sleeping in, I'm kind of starting the day in a bit of a panic to get a video ready, because apparently that's my #1 priority. Instead of taking care of myself and having an enjoyable life, I'm more concerned about documenting what's going on. But that's kind of always been my addiction, I guess, is video making. And so, yeah, I usually end up trying to make a video or eating breakfast or listening to Spanish music because I'm trying to learn Spanish. I haven't got a clue what they're saying, but it sounds lovely. And then I have additional resistance to sitting down and meditating for 5 minutes because I kind of have the sense of, oh, I want it to be first thing in the morning when my mind is fresh and clear and empty. And now I've scrolled on my phone, I've seen the news in my notifications, I've listened to Spanish, and now I've got all this stuff that I put into my head today already, and that's going to just make it more difficult to sit here and do nothing because all that's bouncing around. Versus if I do this immediately when I wake up, then, well, not immediately. I'm gonna like drink water, put clothes on, brush my teeth, that kind of stuff first. But yeah, if I do it first thing in the morning, I feel like it's supposed to be easier. I haven't done enough of each to really be able to make that comparison for myself. So I'm just gonna do this anyway. That was really difficult. Really, really difficult. Also, I should point out too that I'm putting my feet like this with this foot on top today versus my usual like this. And so the physical discomfort made it very difficult, and I just kept moving. I think that's my newest challenge. Hold on, I'm just straightening my legs here, straightening my knees. Okay, I think that's my newest challenge now, is to just sit still to try to make the discomfort part of the meditation, to just sit here and experience what it feels like to be uncomfortable and to not do anything about it, but to just experience it, which is not something that I've come up with myself. That's something that I have been told by a billion different meditation apps or YouTube videos or whatever back when I was like really into this years ago, or at least really trying to get into this, but I still just I don't get it. All right. So today is the 8th, and I really hate this. I'm really angry and fresh. Oh wait, why is the lighting weird? Come on, camera. Readjust. Anyways, I'm so angry and frustrated, and I hate this, and I don't want to do this. I barely made it 4 minutes, and that's with an interruption for me to write something down. I don't know. In my first video about this, I had like a couple minutes worth of peace, I guess. And I haven't had a single second of that during meditation since switching to 5 minutes. So then I'm thinking either it's too much and you need to drop back to 2.5 minutes, which would be less daunting, even though I still feel like at the end of the day, it's like, wow, that 5 minutes was nothing. I could do 10 minutes. But then I get here and I try to do the 5 minutes and it feels like forever, and I can't stop thinking about things, and I hate it, and I don't want to sit here and do nothing. I want to do things that I want to do. I just don't get the point of meditation, and I am frustrated and angry and sick of it. And so then part of me thinks, well, maybe I'm just overstimulated mentally with all this exciting things to think about by spending too much time on YouTube, and maybe instead I need to do more. Maybe I should do a second 5 minutes today. I know it's not going to be productive. Hold on, rephrase that. I know that I'm not going to reach that state of peaceful no-think because I'm just too angry and frustrated, and I just don't wanna. So I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna finish my last minute today. I don't even know if I'm gonna do this tomorrow. All right, bye. So today I wanted to talk about wants. I've been still doing meditation every day, and I don't want to. Today was very frustrating. I've been recording my reflections on my meditations every morning, and that video is not out yet, but if you stay tuned, I will be posting that eventually. And you'll see me kind of, I guess, deteriorating into what I just recorded today, that I just don't want to do that anymore. If I try to recap everything I've done so far on this channel, basically, I'm depressed, I don't want to do anything, so I decided I'll sit there and do nothing. But then in sitting there and doing nothing, I thought of things I did want to do, and doing those things brings me good feelings. I decided to continue to start each day doing nothing until I think of something I want to do. The vast majority of the time I can think of something, anything, even the tiniest little thing that I do want to do. Even if I'm still depressed in other ways, because depression is a lot more than just not wanting to do things, I can still think of plenty of things that I want to do. Small things. Even if it's just moving around, walking around, just to avoid feeling sore from laying in my bed all the time, which is what led to working out being a part of my daily routine, which has been feeling fantastic. Now, doing nothing is something I don't want to do, and doing it brings me the opposite of good feelings. Why would I keep doing that? I don't want to do that. Why would I do that if I don't want to do that? Sure, there's the neuroscience saying that it's like good for your brain or whatever, but if I don't want to do it, then I'm not going to reach that like peaceful no-think state of mind, and then I'm not going to get the scientific benefits. So doing it for the sake of the scientific benefits of the brain like being rewired or whatever, doing it for that purpose will specifically cause you to not get that result. In order to get that result, you have to do it not for that result. You have to do it for the sake of doing it. And I don't want to. I don't wanna. I just don't wanna. And I've also definitely noticed that during my workouts, I reach a more peaceful meditative state of mind than in meditation. That I'm not thinking about things because I'm just focused on the moment, of the present moment, focused on what I'm doing. I've even briefly joked about the idea of replacing meditation with working out, and that's not an original idea by me. Many other people have noticed this. And as far as my reflections on wants, it's like what you want is dependent on what you value. I value feeling good feelings and not feeling bad feelings. That feels like, to me, to be an intrinsic trait of this physical vessel. And so if I don't want to be feeling achy and miserable from just laying in my bed and not doing anything, then it just makes sense that I should do something and that I would want to do something, to move around. That's the way I see it. It's that all wants come from your values. What do you value? What do you think is important? Whether or not you should think certain things are important is a whole nother type of discussion. So actually I thought this was going to be today's video, but instead I think I'm just going to tack this on to the end of the meditation video. Maybe I'll upload that today. Depends on how long it takes for me to edit it. Probably record something else for today just in case, and then this will go out tomorrow. Yeah, I just don't want to meditate anymore. I don't want to do nothing. That's the whole point of this channel, is I don't want to do nothing. I've spent the vast majority of my life wanting to do things, wanting to go out and travel and train parkour and make videos and go to festivals or conventions, and I haven't done the vast majority of the things that I want to do in life. And so I don't want to waste time, even if it's just 5 minutes a day, just sitting here doing nothing. I don't want to waste a single more second of my entire life. If I'm gonna live, I want to live. That's why I don't like meditation. That's why it bugs me. That's why it upsets me. That's why it makes me frustrated and angry. That's what makes it so difficult and basically impossible for me to achieve this state of no think, even though I do occasionally, as you saw in the beginning of this video. I think that's it. I think I'm done having meditation as part of my morning routine. I just don't want to anymore. Even though I can absolutely appreciate the idea of starting from a fresh slate every day, being more intentional about each and everything that you interact with, and choose what thoughts you want to engage with and choose what activities you want to engage with, instead of just mindlessly allowing your mind to think and mindlessly scrolling social media and just blasting your brain with all that random input. I see both of those as basically equivalent, except the input into your brain is either coming from your brain or coming from elsewhere, but they feel the same to me. I think I've said enough. Thank you for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. I want to know, what are your thoughts? What is your experience with meditation? Comment down below. Do you think I should keep trying this? Maybe I should, I think I'll take a break from it for a while. I'll definitely try it again in the future, but I just don't wanna right now. And so why should I continue to force myself to do something that I don't want to do? So yeah, thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this, and share this with anyone else you think might find this interesting or gain some sort of insight from my struggles. Thanks for watching. Take care. One last thing I want to add to this. This is now the 9th. The next day I finished editing this video, at least 99% of it. Of course, I'm going to tack this final thoughts on the end of it and then watch it through one more time just to make sure I got everything right. But I had one last thing that I wanted to add to this video. And that would be to clarify that this particular type of meditation that I've been doing this entire time is called mindfulness meditation. Basically, it's just always being aware of what you're aware of. And if that's a new thought for you, you might have to spend a little time thinking about that. But that's the idea, is to be aware of what you are aware of and to always be focused on the present moment, what you are actually doing, actually experiencing, not to be worrying about the future or having regrets about the past or distracted by ideas that are not relevant to what you are doing right here, right now. And so I think the reason that meditation frustrates me so much more than it ever has before in my life is because I've already been doing this on and off for years. And I think that with mindfulness meditation in particular, it's not about making it a daily habit as something that you use to reset your mind every day. It's more of a skill that you're supposed to take with you at all times and always throughout the whole day, all day, every day, be aware of what you're aware of and choose what you're going to choose to think about. And while I am far from perfect at it, I definitely do this very, very frequently throughout every day, where I will realize that I am causing myself unnecessary stress by imagining worst case scenarios and how I would react or respond or cope with them and stuff like that, rather than being focused on what I'm actually doing. And I'll realize this and just be like, well, let's just stop thinking about that. I just don't have to think about that. These things will most likely never happen. Why am I wasting mental energy stressing myself out thinking about these things that will most likely never happen? And even if they did happen, I feel like I could trust myself to just know how to respond in the moment. Or rather than stressing myself out about it right now, I can make a mental note of like, hey, this is something I should learn. I should look into this, and then think about it at that time when I am looking into it of like, okay, how should I respond to this? And this is of course just one example. The point being, it's always being aware of what you're aware of and reminding yourself to be focused on what you're doing rather than all this other nonsense that doesn't really matter. Or being focused on what you want to think about, because maybe that particular thing that you are thinking about at this time does matter and you want to process that and figure it out. And yeah, if you want to get really into it, you could technically say that every time you're thinking about the past or the future, you're technically thinking about it in the present moment, and you could be very focused on that and aware of that, but at least you're aware that you are diverting your attention away from the present moment, and that you are in this present moment doing that. But that's where things get messy and complicated, and I haven't experimented enough with that to have a proper opinion on it yet. And so yeah, I just really want to clarify too that I am far from perfect at this. I am not always aware of what I'm aware of. My mind wanders all the time, but I have already somewhat developed that skill, at least at the very base level. Maybe it's like I've acquired the skill, but I haven't leveled it up at all. I'm still level 1 or 2. And that, I think, is the ultimate way of viewing mindfulness meditation, is not as a daily practice, not as doing nothing, but as a skill, a mental skill of learning how to control your thoughts, sort of. So, this video was a bit of a roller coaster, and it's so much longer than I thought it was going to be. This is a mini movie. That being said, if you made it this far, thank you so much. Onto the stereotypical namaste. Genuinely, thank you. I really appreciate it. I hope that you've gained at least some sort of value or insight from my experience. I hope that you can use this as inspiration to begin a mindfulness practice of your own, and no, not a practice, to begin developing that skill for yourself, because it is actually kind of a life-changing skill. It's one of those things where once you already have it, you kind of forget what life was like without it, and it's very easy to forget how nice it is to have it, and to forget that not everyone can manipulate their thoughts in that way. Well, no, everyone can, but not everyone does that automatically, because it becomes so automatic. So yeah, let me know what you think down in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more. Be sure to share this video with anyone else you think might find this interesting or gain some value or insight from it. And take care.